Wild horses, we know, are a bold symbol of the American West. And tonight, Governor Jared Polis is calling on the federal government to allow them to roam free, at least for now. He released a statement tonight using an image showing the iconic animals. It reads, the planned roundups should be delayed and reconsidered for replacement by a more cost-effective and humane management alternative. And the state of Colorado is eager and willing to assist BLM in developing and implementing such a plan. Across 10 states, including Colorado, 80,000 Mustangs roam free. But the federal government plans to round up 20,000 this year, lock them up, a practice that has been met with heavy opposition due to disease outbreaks and deaths in captivity. Well, we are learning one reason these roundups happen is so ranchers have a place for their livestock to graze. There's not enough land for both livestock and horses to coexist, so the horses lose out. CBS 4 investigator Katie Weiss has found there are a lot more sheep and cows allowed to graze on Colorado's major wild horse herd areas than there are actually wild horses. And some experts say it's wasting millions in taxpayer dollars every year.
The Sandwash Basin in northwestern Colorado is one of just a few designated wild horse herd areas in the state where wild horses roam free. Last year, nearly 700 horses were rounded up and removed from this land, sent to holding facilities to live in captivity. The Bureau of Land Management said at the time there weren't enough resources for the horses.
I don't believe the horses would survive the winter.
But just 2 months later, more than 2,000 domestic sheep are grazing on that same land.
When you're trailing sheep through an area, they are mowing down all the vegetation in their path. It's almost like a plague of locusts coming across the land and cleaning out every stick of new vegetation and growth.
Eric Molvar is a wildlife biologist and the executive director of the Western Watersheds Project. He says his research found ranchers who hold livestock grazing permits are degrading the land much more than the wild horses are.
The livestock graze 50 to 65% of the annual forage production, and that leaves less than half left over for wild horses, for elk, for mule deer, to have cover for sage grouse.
We analyzed livestock grazing permits in 3 of Colorado's wild horse herd areas, the Sandwash Basin, West Douglas Creek, and East Douglas Creek, and found all but one of the permits were reapproved without any assessment of the environmental effects the cattle and sheep would have. While there are only an estimated 1,500 wild horses left in those 3 areas, there are more than 44,000 cattle and sheep allowed to graze on those same lands. That's nearly 30 times more cattle and sheep than horses in designated wild horse areas. What's more, all that livestock grazing doesn't pay off. We found the 10 ranchers holding those permits in these 3 wild horse areas could pay the BLM a maximum total of only $345,000 a year to have their livestock graze there. In stark contrast, the BLM spent an estimated $3.4 million in taxpayer money to round up and care for horses in captivity in Colorado last year. And this year, the BLM will spend another estimated $3.3 million.
I think that the BLM's Wild Horse and Burro program is a complete scam on the U.S. taxpayer.
We found the ranchers are getting a great deal. The feds charge them $1.35 a month per cow to graze, when it can cost twice that much, up to $2.80 a day to feed a cow with hay. And we found the permit cost hasn't changed since the 80s. No adjustment for inflation.
Only 1.6% of American beef production has anything to do with Western public lands. Why would you even have cattle on public lands since they're such a marginal part of the beef production?
Advocates feel the BLM is favoring ranchers by rounding up horses out of the wild and putting them in captivity, like this holding facility in Maxwell, Nebraska. So I asked the BLM if there's any truth to those concerns.
It's not a livestock grazing versus wild horse and burro issue out there. If the forage is not there in a year due to drought, livestock operators are not going to be able to turn out full numbers. Horses are still going to be out there, but there's not going to be enough available forage to maintain those animals in a healthy condition either. So they have to be removed too in order for BLM to be good stewards of the range.
Ranchers agree.
It helps expand the land that a rancher can use in order to create food for people's table.
Deirdre McNabb runs the 4M Ranch in Meeker, which holds a grazing permit on a chunk of land in the East Douglas wild horse herd area. She says it's the horses who are degrading the land, not her cows.
They'd pretty much eaten everything and it was down to the dust.
Saying if the land isn't suitable, she won't put her cows out there to graze, and says the BLM meets with her once a year to make sure her cows are not overgrazing.
The cattle grazing can be excellent and very good for the soil and the forage when done and managed properly.
This summer, the BLM plans to remove 750 horses from East Douglas, a move McNabb says is critical.
We think it's in the best interest of the range and, frankly, for the horses.
The BLM says it's updating its policies to make livestock grazing better for land conservation.
It's amazing that.
But advocates like Mulvar say given what he sees as a strain on the land, the horses, and the taxpayer, legislative changes need to be made to slash livestock grazing across the West.
We're going to have the ecological rebound that happens when you take off the cattle and sheep for long periods of years.
All right, fantastic story, Katie. Really eye-opening. Katie joins us now to talk a little bit more about this. So what kind of legislative changes are advocates actually pushing for, hoping to see happen?
Well, advocates like Mulvar that you just heard from there in the piece, he's pushing for some kind of law change that would allow environmentalists to actually buy out these livestock permits as a way to curb the grazing activities. Now, he says it's been difficult over the years to make these legislative changes because the livestock industry can sometimes have some pretty powerful lobbyists, but he's hopeful that that will change as we move forward in the future.
I know you're passionate about this, so you'll stay on top of this and keep us posted.
Absolutely. I think it's an issue that a lot of people are heated about on both sides, so I'm happy to stay on top of it.